We were very happy with them. So what are we? What is our leverage? EDCA sites does not count. The ammunition plant, buying military equipment does not count with him. So what does it was count? We cannot offer anymore. So maybe we should look at, analyze what is it that he wants that we can offer that will make. I will not be surprised if in negotiating with other countries, ginagamit pa ang Pilipinas as benchmark. Look, Philippines is our ally, but we raised them 2%. We all go down. Baka yung pa sinasabi eh. Baka leverage pa tayo. Our export to US is about 15% of our export. But from US point of view, their import from us is 1/5 of 1%. Their import from us is 1/5, half of which is electronics, more than half electronics. Vietnam is 2%. Thailand is, Malaysia is 1.5%. Thailand is 1%. We are 1/5 of pathetic. So why are we being hit with this? We don't even count. We are even if we're positive, that's so small that sa pagkakaibigan lang mawawala yun. But why doesn't it count? Because maybe we're barking on the wrong thing or barking on the wrong person. We are using old classic negotiation, what US like. Let's find out what does Trump like. And with that, I think we can keep on guessing, we can keep preparing, but maybe next week it will be another game, another tariff, so we don't really know. Even China, who is supposed to get the highest tariff, is suspended. They might be suspended forever because they need things from them. They need rare earth metals from them, but we probably have something that matters that will not cost us. So I think we have to look at this area because otherwise we just keep guessing. But in the meanwhile, I think we lose maybe we are losing about $2 billion already. We had a survey of our exporters recently. 90% is still doing vending, no problem. But the 10% saying wala nang order, medyo takot na yung yun. Ang masakit dito, these are high employment area like wearables, furnitures. These are high employment area. Yung pa naman yung tatamaan. So maybe we should approach this and find out what really matters with him. Yung mga pinagmamalaki natin, does not count eh. Does not look like it counts, no? We are looking at it, it's a tariff game? No. Secondary yun. Secondary sa kanya yun. What he doesn't lose, as I said, if we lose the dollar, we lose the war. That is important for him. And I don't think that is promises. That is before election, and he's doing it now. And he said exactly, I will choose sanction, I will use tariff. Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, we will submit a position paper.
Thank you.
You can help. We would like to be able to help DTI so that DTI can help the exporters.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ortiz.
And thank you that Mr. Senator Gatchalian is here because he is in finance.
Yes. Thank you very much for your insights. Very, very good insights. And you're right, he weaponized the tariff system. He weaponized, instead of sanctions, tariff. I think he's doing that now to India because India continuously supplies fuel or gasoline to Russia, or imports a lot of gasoline from Russia oil. And because of his being upset, he, I think, meted out a 50% tariff on India. So, Attorney Rami Horani is recognized.
Mayang hapon, Mr. Chair and Vice Chair. I have to say the greeting in Bisaya because my name is in Arabic, so people assume that I am a foreigner, but I'm actually from Cebu, but Muslim. Alaikum salam. So on behalf of the Export Development Council's Legislative Committee, I thank you for the opportunity to share our position on Senate Resolution number 62, which seeks to examine the economic impact of U.S. tariffs on Philippine exports. I am concurrently an officer of the PhilExport Cebu chapter, representing 260 exporters, and to say the least, we are very heavily affected. One of the largest and most valuable exporters from Cebu is a furniture exporter that exports quite heavily to the US. In my own personal export enterprise, we've seen a drop of about 50 to 60% of the demand from our US customers as a consequence of the tariff impositions. So to say that this is an important issue for us is frankly understating it a little bit. But we're solution oriented here today, and so I just have a few principles that I'd like to share for the consideration of the committee. First, the imposition of a 19% blanket tariff on Philippine goods by the current U.S. administration represents both a significant trade barrier and a challenge to the multilateral rules-based order. So while the U.S. may have grievances with the state and result of globalization, the unilateral application of such measures undermines the stability and predictability in global commerce. I want to take the opportunity to inform our partners in government of a little acronym that has been circulating on the internet, which is PACO, PACO. Trump always chickens out. He always backs off from his worst threats when engaging in negotiations. So I hope that gives you the courage to stand up to what we feel is frankly an imposition by the US, which is very much unfair. Now, I go into some detail in the position paper which I filed in your office, Senator Zubiri. In response, we suggest 3 strategic actions. First, the policy research support, allocating funding to the DTI in order to procure experts in trade law and economics that will strengthen our capacity to craft evidence-based responses to shifting trade paradigms, allowing us to capture opportunities that we may not at present be currently aware of given the shifting nature of the context we operate in. Personally, I know, for example, that the PCA has mentioned they have issues with trade requirements like MOSH/MOA, which they might similarly benefit from the provision of funding for these experts. And I'm quite thankful that Senator Gatchalian is also here to hear these recommendations. The second recommendation is export promotion funding. Provide increased budgetary support for international trade missions and marketing efforts, particularly in machinery, electronics, and agricultural goods, those which are most heavily affected by the imposition of these tariffs. So that agencies and CITEM and the Department of Trade and Industry can have more resources to unlock new markets so we can divert our flow of goods. Lastly, because we do not currently have a pronounced tariff advantage, that we prioritize the passage of important reforms like the National Quality Infrastructure Bill, which is currently pending in the Senate, I believe, and have structural reforms like strengthening of the Anti-Red Tape Authority, the Export Development Council, to ease business and trade functions. This last request is a personal one. I hope that we can invite Senator Zubiri to attend our gathering of over 500 exporters in Cebu at the end of November to be our guest of honor. Yeah. Yes. We believe that this Senate inquiry is timely and essential, and we urge all stakeholders present to help us work towards surmounting these obstacles. Thank you to the Honorable Committee for the opportunity to intervene.
The chair.
Yes, thank you. First of all, thank you, Attorney
In
Uran.
connection with
Yes, sir.
that you mentioned, because I
Yes, please. Sergio, you are recognized.
you know, the paper that I passed also that the others will be aware it is we feel that the reason to do we have to really look at other markets now, and DTI is the lead agency for this. The budget of DTI for the expectation of what they have to do, develop trade, develop is pathetic, so to speak. I mean, there was a time that in 2019, I look at the budgets. No problem with CCT. I think at the time, 87 billion yung CCT, 15 billion was for monitoring. Do you know that 15 billion at the time was combined budget of DTI, DOST, and CCT? And now, I think the budget of DTI last year was even slashed by what? A billion. A billion. And we expect, when we have foreign missions, foreign trade, no budget. All lip service, no budget. When we ask for budget, there's nowhere to get it. When we have exhibition, nakakaawa yung, some of the exporters don't even want to go there anymore. They cannot be supported, unlike our neighbors, how they support it. The other area which you would really like to bring out, that I think you mentioned already, is funding. We are now passing the Magna Carta for MSME. And this is very important for our export, especially for our small exporters. We are able to convince Bangko Sentral, if we take away from the Magna Carta, the provision that it will be under supervision of BSP, then it can come up with its own rules, its own lending. Maybe not exactly like Tupad or what, the giveaway. But if we look at it as as investment for our MSME so that they can grow. The funding for MSME in 2019 that I saw, Thailand gave, we are the most unbanked MSME in the whole of Asia. Thailand in 2019 gave $230 billion to the MSME. You know how much the Philippines gave? $10.8 billion. The nearest to us was Indonesia, 70-something billion dollars. And we are wondering why our MSME has not grown. While we are saying that our micro, that our MSME, 90% is pare-parehong sa but our MSME is 90% micro. 90% micro. And they have not grown. They just all on the wayside, somebody comes in again, all on the way. And we wonder why what we hope to be the backbone of our industry, the MSME, is staying that way. We are the first one who came up with this. Ginaya lang tayo, yung Magna Carta. But they were way ahead, and we are left behind. So I hope that we can have the support on these two areas. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. We definitely will, especially on the issues of legislation. We'll support you there. So thank you to the two gentlemen. We'll just try to wrap up by 3:00. Ladies and gentlemen, I know we took up so much of your time, especially for the government members of the different agencies of government here. So, Director Ann, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for inviting us. We in the private sector, which is the Philippine Food Processors and Exporters Organization Incorporated, stands firm. Now, we have a preferred position, actually, and let me just quote our position paper. Zero tariff on Philippine food exporters, reflecting our strong alliance and mutual benefit. And we have an alternative position, actually, Mr. Chair. If zero tariff is not possible, a maximum of 10% tariff, which is like the same with our neighboring ASEAN countries like Singapore and Australia will do. Now, our key concern, in reality, maging ako nakaharap sa inyo ngayon, ay mawawala ng trabaho in the long run. And we call to action and respectfully urges the Senate of the Philippines, particularly the Committee on the Economic Affairs, to help us in preserving the Filipino employment. And that is basically, without being too academic here, yun lang po ang aming concern.
Salamat, Director Ann. Director Ann, you're with the food exports, no? Malaki ba ang nakita niyong impact sa pagkain na pinapadala, processed good, no? Processed food
Yes.
to the US?
Yes, Mr. Chair, sobrang laki.
Sobrang laki.
I-
That you're also worried about your own job, you're saying.
Exactly, exactly.
Wow.
Reality.